Hello, Rob Einhart here. I am going to show you guys how to create a burn effect to your image or text. I have this wood piece that I found. It's an image I found from online and I just placed it in here. I would suggest using a high resolution wood piece to get a nice effect. So I have this. I would like to do a burn effect on, I want to go back. Okay, there we go. So we want to put an image in here that I've found online, and I want to create a burn effect out of it. So I'm going to grab my image that it's in my downloads, branding. All right. So here we go, Branding Iron Bar and Grill. You know, this is kind of a Texas look. You got this Western feel. So we want to turn this into a burn. And by doing that, we are going to, first thing first is we're going to highlight this. We want to fill this and expand it. So by the first step we're going to do is highlight this with the moving ants, right? The marching ants. So we're going to hit Command, select this image that we just imported, right? And it puts the marching ants around. If you turn the image off, it's got here you can see it better, right? All right, so we have that. Now we want to fill this, okay? Before we can do that though, we need to add a new layer. So this is fine, it's going to stay here unless you deselect, but let's add a new layer. All right, so we got our new layer, it's highlighted. We still have this, the marching ants going, and I want to turn this into black. So with that, just hold down Option and then click Delete, right? And that fills it with a black. Now the reason that turned out black was because this down here is up front. If this were to switch, it would have turned white. But the forefront of it is black, so that's good. All right, now we can deselect by clicking Command D. All right, and so far we have this kind of like built-in Branding Iron Bar and Grill title, but we need to create a basis for this burn effect. So what I want to do is go to this, all right, and we are going to highlight this here. So by doing that, we're gonna click Command, click this image, right? Marching ants come back, all right, and we want to go to Select and Modify. This is where we want to expand our image out, okay? So we want to kind of expand this out a little. We want to blow it up. So we're going to expand it by 15. You can do smaller or bigger. I would suggest not too big, not too small, just nice even keel balance. We're going to push OK, and that gives us this expanded image, so it's like an offset path, right? We can turn this off if we want, so we still have this image here. Now I want to create a new path, or a new layer, a new layer. These marching ants are still going, and so what I want to do is fill this expanded image. And so again, we're going to click Option, Delete, right? And that fills it black, all right? So we have this image, and now we want to, we can deselect this if you'd like with Command D. So that deselects it, lets you see the image, what it looks like. It's just kind of this big blob from the original layer 1. So we will take this image, and I want to blur it. So let's do this. I'm going to go to Filter, Blur, right? And I want to do a Gaussian blur. I wouldn't suggest go too big, because this is what happens. Just keep it small, not too small, but between 2.5 and 4 or 5. This is good. Just want a nice little blur. Okay, and that's how we get that. Now the next thing we need to add is we need to add a wind effect, right? So you guys are probably wondering, what's a wind effect? Well, this is what a wind effect is. I'm going to show you. But for us to do that, make sure you're on the right layer. There we go. Filter, stylize. You go to stylize here in filters, and it says wind down here. So we're going to click that. It shows us that we're going to have this wind effect, right? And you can do it from right or left. We actually want to do both. We can't do them at the same time, but we'll just do one and then we'll do the other. So we keep that highlighted, go back to filter, do another wind effect. All right, this one we're going to do from the right. So now we have both. All right, so we have a wind effect from the right side, wind effect from the left. All right, and so that's good. Now we need to change the level on this. You could have done that first, it doesn't matter. You could have done it before your blur, for your wind effect, but as long as you do these steps first, this will get you kind of your foundation for your burn effect. So we'll go to levels. I want to change this down here to about 72, and it's going to look gray. And it's light, but that's what it's supposed to be, and I'll explain why. Right? So this has got a 72 kind of opacity. It's taken down a little bit. The tone is down. Level tone, I'm sorry, is down. And the reason I wanted to do that was because we're going to drop the fill. All right, we're going to drop the fill to about 40%. All right, and it's like, what's going on? It's missing, right? Well, we're going to change the mask. I want to change it to a color burn. Okay, so that helps, right? That it's got that look of a nice authentic burn mark. If this were if the level tone was to be way up to black and this was to be way up to 100%, this is what happens. See, it doesn't look correct. So make sure that this is down here at 40%. All right, and you want to use a color burn for this. And you can adjust. You don't have to have 40%, but I would suggest keeping it down here between the 20s and the 40s to give it that look you're looking for, right? All right, and so that's the first part of this on how to get the back or the background part of the burn to set up for the next part, which I'll explain here in a minute. All right, so now we have our color burn, guys. I hope you were able to get through that and understand. Now we want to put our text back in here, right? Because we have this. This looks nice. We want to focus on getting our text or the brand iron bar and grill back in. We can just re-highlight this or turn it back on so we can see it. And what I want to do is, so if we highlight this and you notice it's black, it's too dark to read. Obviously, we can't read this, right? I want to do the opposite. I want to make this a white fill. All right, and by doing that, well, first thing first, you can feather this if you want. And I've learned that you can feather this by going to, it's select, modify, and there's a feather option. I can show you real quick. There's command, right? Highlights, select, modify, feather. You can feather it if you'd like. I don't like feathering it because I like it to be crisp. You can read it better when it's not feathered. So I just learned just to not do the feather. I'd rather not. So anyway, to get back out of that, Command D, deselect. So anyway, we have our image here. We want to turn it into white, right? Make sure you're on the layer. We're going to hit Option Delete to switch it to white. Or I'm sorry, I take that back. Command I to inverse, not Option Delete, Command I. So we want to go from black to white. Command I, that changes the image from black to white. So you have this image here, and I want to re-highlight this, and we can turn our opacity down, and you notice that this is coming out to look like exactly what we want, right? This is great. You can make the fill's nice. We can do the fill as well. I mean, there's really, you can do either one. I kind of like I said, in between the 20s and 40s is kind of the game, is where it's at. I would about right there. I like 30%. All right, so we have this burnt look, like branding iron bar and grill, which is really cool. All right, but we're not done yet. So next thing we want to do is let me explain that in the next part. So hold. All right, so we got this looking pretty close to what we want, but there's a couple more steps to this. So in doing that, we want to highlight the layer which our title is, not the blurry one, but the crisp one. And I want to double click over here because we're going to add a bevel. All right, bevel emboss. Look at this. This is so cool. So this helps pop. Now you don't have to do this, but I like this. I think this helps the title pop some more, helps it to be more visible, because otherwise, I mean, you can read this as well, and this really looks like a burn mark, but I kind of like adding the bevel. It just really helps it pop, makes it look nice. I'm gonna do let's see, there's chisel hard. I'm gonna smooth it out. So look at this, this is kind of cool. This is neat, very smooth looking. And make sure it's inner bevel or outer bevel. You can do either one. The outer bevels, actually, let's do that. It kind of really sharpens it up. That looks pretty cool, so let's do that. You can change the depth. Global light, you can have on or off. It's up to you. It just shifts the way it looks, just shifting the light. But ultimately we want to just have that burn feel, that burn look. So make sure that these, you can keep them on normal. I would suggest keeping them on linear burn or color burn, right? Because this gives it a nice outline. This kind of lets the title speak for itself, and it's readable. I know bar and grill is not as readable. Obviously this is just for example purposes, but if you do this to a title, make sure you use letters that have good spacing in them. Otherwise, if they're too close, you can see that bar and grill is kind of, it kind of is within itself. You can't see the spacing between the A, the B, or the R. It makes it kind of difficult. So make sure if you're using certain letters in text, use letters in text that have good spacing. It'll show up much better. Or just thin the title a little more before you do this. Highlight mode, you know, like I said, it's you can mess around with this if you'd like. I just keep it on screen or normal. It doesn't matter. The big thing is just making sure that this is on linear burn or color burn. You want to really definitely give it that authentic burn feel. The next thing we want to do with this is to add a inner shadow, right? So we got this inner shadow. Now it's getting pretty good. You can see how this makes it look like it's like you used a really bad worn branding iron, or you can just keep it bright, or you used a really brand new clean branding iron to put on this title. I like to keep it light. I might add a little bit of dimness, not too much. I want it to be readable, so there we go. All right. Again, you can add global light. You can, you know, this is kind of a way to mess around. I would just suggest use a bevel emboss and use an inner shadow to clean this up at the end. As far as what you want to do with your opacities, I would again keep this on linear burn or color burn. Okay. It doesn't make a huge difference here, but with the opacities you can tell that this does change. All right, I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna put it back towards just a little bit, just enough. So and you can mess with this, but the main thing is to really make this title pop and still look like a burn effect. Add bevel, add some inner shadow. All right, and then you'll get this nice looking title or an image. You can burn an image into a piece of wood, and that's really nice as well. So yeah, so this is how you make a burn effect. All right, I hope you enjoyed this video. and I hope you learned from this, and maybe you can incorporate this effect to some of your projects here in the future. And so it's a really neat thing. I've done it, and it's always turned out pretty good. But all right, thank you, and we'll see you.